Welcome to Your Town. I'm Chef Wendy Brodie with Art of Food, and my guest today is Tom Snyder. He's had an incredible culinary career and is about to do a new venture called Sell a Restaurant, and will be anxiously awaiting. In reading your bio, I was thrilled to find out we went to the same culinary school way back when. Of course, I date you by several years, I'm sure, but welcome and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me and for the invite. I'm really honored to be here.
Oh, super. Well, start us out from the beginning. How did you get involved in cooking? What was the button that pushed your heartstrings?
It kind of is, there's more tiers to it than just one button, and I said, okay, I'm going to cook. I worked in restaurants in New England, all over the Northeast. I worked in Connecticut and Vermont in restaurants. It was just something I was good at. Even if I was bussing a busser, like 15 years old, I was bussing tables at a Friendly's and at A.C. Peterson's and little ice cream shops, and I was good at that. And so I enjoyed it, and I was good. And then at one point I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And so I was going to go to San Francisco to go to culinary school because it was time for me to kind of move on and branch out.
Not New York, not the mother of them all.
Yeah, I wanted to come to California.
Wow.
You know, I'd never been really west of the Mississippi, and I was, where am I going to go? And there was one in Phoenix, and of course there's really three great ones in New England. One in New York, and then Johnson & Wales, the CIA, Johnson & Wales, and Necky in Vermont. They're all great culinary schools. But I just kind of wanted to get out and be away from New England and kind of branch out and come to California and see the world a little bit. And little did I know how different San Francisco and Vermont were until about 5 minutes into San Francisco. I saw how different it was, and the people and the scenes and everything. It was just kind of a shock, to tell you the truth. But I just was really good at it, and I went to culinary school and got out of culinary school and had the chance to do an externship at the Camden Place Hotel. And
lucky person.
Yes, I was very lucky to get there. It was a month long, the externship at the time. I did it, and then they didn't really have a job for me. And then about a couple weeks or maybe a week later, the chef called and said, okay, the grill cook is not with us anymore. Would you like to come in and work on the grill? I said, I need a job, and yes, and it was a great place. And immediately I was in over my head. I was working with people who had cooked in New York City, who had cooked in San Francisco for a while, and I was still someone who had only learned at culinary school. And at culinary school, you get an idea of how to cook, but you have 5 people working a station. In real life, you get one person to work that station.
Yes.
And there's more than there is in a real restaurant than there is in culinary school to do.
We don't come out a chef.
No, you
and
do not
most
come out a
people
chef.
think you do.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest misconceptions there are. Like, oh, I'm a chef now. I graduated culinary school. It's like, okay, I need you to peel the carrots, please. And you know that you can see sometimes you can see the shock on some young cook's face, and they're just like, I can't believe I'm peeling carrots still. I'm above this, and you're just like, nope, there's a long way to go. But I was in over my head, and I can remember when the chef de cuisine or sous chef at the time really taken me by the hand, and I have to thank Furman and Larry specifically for taking me by the hand forever and teaching me how to cook. And we're still good friends, and they're still mentors and everything. But I can't even begin to say that I learned the art of cooking without saying I worked with Furman and Larry. And then they were sous chefs, and you know, we had an executive chef, Todd and Laurent, that I worked for, and they were there as well, teaching me as well also. But really on the line every day, having the rabbit or the chicken or the whatever dish handed back to me because it wasn't right, and start over from scratch was it was heartbreaking, but it was great. It was, you know, it was like, you know, you go home and man, and I really fell in love with it, you know, almost on the Muni bus, like going to work 2 hours early and thinking about how am I going to set up my station? What's the first step every day, day after day after day, and how important that was. And then going home and thinking while I'm sitting on the Muni bus, what I did right and what I did wrong. And that's really when I decided I wanted to become an executive chef and lead a kitchen in those moments. Those moments were great for me. And like some people, you go to work, you punch out, you go home, and there's just, oh yeah, I got to go back to work tomorrow. And it's almost like it has to be on a calendar. For chefs, I don't think it's like that.
It's
it doesn't
like
stop
showbiz.
working.
Don't
Yeah.
you think? I mean, each thing is its own performance. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it.
Correct. Well, in baseball, they say you're only as good as your last at bat. In
yeah.
cooking, you're only as good as the last plate of food you made. So, as a
Exactly.
baseball fan too, it goes with that. I grew up a large baseball fan, and when I heard that a couple times, I was like, "It's true. Like, okay, you can make great food all the time, and then the one time you make something bad, that could be the one that someone remembers. So you
Yeah.
have to try to be great all the time."
I know there's a lot of pressure. After Camden Place, you've been around the world cooking. Share some of those experiences.
I was really lucky. The Camden Place, as most people know, is and was always a great
Star.
hotel, restaurant in San Francisco. I was lucky that the chefs I worked for wanted to send me to places to go cook with other chefs. Laurent Manrique sent me to Toulouse to work for Michel Serran, and that was a 2-star Michelin restaurant, and I got to work there. And I got there, and I was the chef de cuisine at the Camden Place. So at the time, I was relatively established in the cooking field and in San Francisco. When I got to Toulouse, I was Chef McDonald's because I was American, and they kind of picked on me, and I got to do some of the lower prep stuff again. But that was a great experience. I don't mind it at all. I did things that I hadn't had a chance to do in a long time. I got to do things that I hadn't. Frog legs. We don't really serve a lot of frog legs in America, and that was a major dish there. So I got to clean frog legs for a while, and that took me a second to, okay, I'm glad I got my knife sharpened and I could butcher these and do this now. And so just going there.
And it wasn't biology class.
No, yeah, exactly. And so I got to clean the frog legs. I got to clean rouget and different fishes that they have in the Mediterranean that we don't get in California. And so stuff like that was it was fun. I got to learn. I got to see how it worked. I get to put it on my resume, which is, people get really excited about. I got to work with Michel Serran's mother. Which was
special.
Yeah, which was in the Armagnac region. She had an auberge there, so basically a bed and breakfast. And she in the Armagnac region in Gascony, they really study foie gras, and they don't even study foie gras. They lead the world in foie gras right now. And I got to study that, and I got to grill it, make it cold, different preparations. So I got to really understand that for a while. So I'm excited to do that again in the next ventures.
That's wonderful. That is really, I may have to get a lesson or two from you on that. I remember going to that wonderful store in Paris, the De Hilleron store. I don't know if you ever got there. It had all the hand-hammered copper. It was like, oh my gosh, Williams-Sonoma sur la table on steroids, and it's still, I think, that way. It's just worth going in there to experience it. But they had foie gras, the shape of the foie gras poachers, I guess.
Oh, really?
I bought one. I don't think I've ever used it.
Okay, we'll bring it by. We could do a foie gras together one time.
But, and you must have had a lot of the wines there and gotten a wine education at the same time that we really didn't get in cooking school. I mean, other than learning, we couldn't really taste them at our tender ages entering cooking school. But you also do a lot of charity work, which I noticed in your resume. Care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, and right now I'm actually even more involved because at the moment Chetler Restaurant is being built, and we're really excited and chomping at the bit to get going on that. But I have some free time right now, and so I'm working with a charity called Teen Kitchen Project, and that's located in Watsonville and Soquel. What it is it's the teen kitchen. The teens, they come into the kitchen and they make food, and they make healthy food, and then they package that up, and then that food gets donated to someone whose family is fighting cancer. And so a friend of mine, Angela, started that, and when I moved down here, because we met in San Francisco. When I moved down here, she was like, "Oh, you're even closer. You want to help out?" And when I first moved down here, I was involved with it, and then I got to where Esteban, when I was working there, was really busy, and I got kind of pushed away from it. And then now I have a lot of time, and I've been going up there like twice a week for the last couple of months. And it's really nice to teach teens how to cook and to see how they, learn and everything like that. And then it's good that the food goes out and helps someone who's really down on their luck at the moment and fighting a disease that's horrible. So it's really a nice thing to be able to do that. The next couple weeks, I've got 3 events. We're going to do Big Surf Food and Wine. The following week, we have the Festa Moscoso, which is for Arturo Moscoso, who is the chef at Pepperly, passed away. So we're doing a fundraiser for his family, and then
is that at Folktale?
Yeah, that's gonna be at Folktale.
I've been invited to go to that, and that's on the 11th.
Yeah, that's Sunday the 11th. Yeah, so I think there's probably like 10 chefs. I don't know the exact number. A bunch of wineries. A lot of the people in town are going to be going to that. Really looking forward to that. Folktale's a beautiful place. They do some great events out there. They've really been successful with the events they're building. And then the big one for the year, one of the big ones for the year around here is the Culinary Classique on the 18th. And so that's...
I know that one well.
You know that one well, and that's where we met. And that's always, every chef I talk to is all we're cooking for is 10 people.
Yes.
And it's so much, it's so fun. It's so great. It's such a great event, but you have to bring your own kitchen.
Yeah.
Which means that it's just, there's so many more moving parts to that one than there is to so many other of the events. But it's, I always look forward to it.
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, it's always a good, I always look forward to it. It's different. It's one of the few times I enjoy doing something off-site, because off-site catering isn't my forte. Let's just put it that way.
Well, the thing that is fun is working with some of the different designers and the different creations that they've done. And I remember last year, Edward Chirazi, who does all these wild, incredible tables, he made his a runway with models. Oh. And then other years he's made a huge tree out of wine bottles, or a huge wine. His imagination is just fabulous.
Yeah, last year I was next to the runway models. Yeah, and I think every table that was there was almost more focused on that, because here you had models.
That was
running.
An action.
Yeah, it was an action station.
The first action one, I think.
It was really cool. It was really neat, and everyone's like, "Oh, wow, look at this and what's going on," and it was pretty cool.
They should almost open that up for the public to just see and make some extra funds an hour before or something, because really they're just
they could do the silent auction and have a walk around for locals, and then at whatever 5 o'clock, the people who want to have dinner or paid for the tickets for dinner get to sit down and enjoy that. So
exactly. I still have to turn in my menu for that today. Thanks for reminding me.
Yes, I get pressured, because I think all chefs, the first notice comes out in like February, and we're like, November? No. Chefs don't. What is that? So so we don't think about that, but they have a lot of planning to do. The people who throw that, Bert is involved. You're involved. Julian Lozano. They do such a great job of putting that on and throw and they raise quite a bit of money for Meals on Wheels, so it's a good event.
Yes. Well, your personal cooking, is that anything that you do differently, or is your personal expression in the marketplace? Or what, people are always interested, what do chefs eat when they're off duty? I guess that's a better way to ask that question.
I'm one of those chefs who doesn't cook a lot at home. Especially when I'm working in the restaurant, you work, and one of the things I do is I'll work from noon to 10 o'clock at night or earlier, but about 10 to 11 hours a day. That's what it is. And one of the worst things I can do is forget to eat all day, because you're tasting, so you're never really hungry.
Exactly.
You get home, you sit down, it's kind of quiet. You're like, finally in the day, it's kind of quiet. And then you go, I'm starving. And then you look in your refrigerator and there's nothing to eat, and it's 10 o'clock at night. So I try to have food to eat at home that's relatively easy. There's always cheese. There's always cheese in my house. Bread and cheese and fruit, and I'll eat that. Salamis and stuff like that. And then anything for breakfast. I'll have stuff for breakfast in the house. But on my days off, I either go out to something simple or bring something home from the restaurant sometimes. It's just easier for me to cook
Of course,
at the
and
restaurant.
it's
Yeah. And I have Angel, my dishwasher, with me. All dishwashers should be called Angel because they are.
It's like the receptionist on the phone. They are the first person that introduces the establishment and gives somebody an impression. And I feel the same way. And really, with people I work with, we all try and do the dishes ourselves and cross, because but I'm slower at it. They pull it away from me.
Yep. Yeah. It's such a hard position to fill going forward, I think, dishwasher. And it's, I read an article a couple of years back in the New York Times, and one of the big French chefs in New York had actually opened up a second restaurant and brought his dishwasher, who'd worked with him for so long, to the second restaurant and gave him an ownership. Because the position is so difficult. He was so loyal, and he was just such a great employee. And for me, I was just like, that's kind of, those types of things are where the industry has to go, is to really recognize those people, because it's a hard position. And it used to be that it was a minimum wage position. Well, it's not anymore.
Good.
And you're going to have to really pay those people and treat them, like they're doing something that's very difficult. No one wants that position.
Well, besides that, they're usually doing in restaurants more than the dishes. They're a prep person on the side in between the busy time, so and to have clean plates and clean glasses.
And there used to be a stewarding department in a lot of restaurants, and that's gone away. That's just the dishwasher now. And now there used to be especially in hotels, but now it's just the dishwasher.
I think we'll wind up with one last question of when you're teaching these teens, what is the one most important thing that you want to impart to them in their future or in their cooking cuisine?
Thinking and common sense. A lot of cooking, especially savory cooking, is common sense. So, and doing it over and over again, you learn that common sense. Okay, if I cut an onion bigger, I can cook it longer. If it's very thin, I have to cook it less. And that's a very common sense thing when you're starting to do that. Really having the teens at that level start to think that way, just to say, okay, because that's what I think about cooking, is it's a lot of common sense, simple common sense.
That is a wonderful answer. That is really great. Well, I thank you so much, Tom, and I look so forward to waiting to hear is it cella or cella?
It's cella.
Cella.
And cella in Latin means warehouse or basement, so a storeroom, basically.
Okay.
So that was the Spear Street storeroom or warehouse, and that's the name came from that.
Even though it's C-E-L-L-A,
Yes.
so we all know what to look for.
Yes, it's cella. Yes,
we'll
it's
be
not cella.
anxiously awaiting.
Yes.
Thank you
Excellent.
so
Well,
much.
thank you very much. It's nice to talk with you.
Right back.
Thank you.